a long ass title. There we go. Hello guys. Okay, so the reason why we have a different setup is because the camera that I was using wasn't working fully. Like it's just like coming out blurry. I just gotta I think I just have to like reset it. I don't even know what's wrong with it. So we're just using this camera instead. It's much closer up to my face. Like very much so closer up to my face. But let's start reading. Also, I did see that both Easy and Wiz are live, but you know, I pretty much do this every single day, so there is bound to be days where we're both live at the same time. And that's just what it is, and that's okay. And you're doing nuclear chem? Damn. Oh, what are my thoughts on the slanderous post in the chat? That's crazy. That was I can't be like, oh, it's not accurate, because guess what? It's very, very accurate. However, it is crazy. It's crazy. I can promise you I wasn't on the island. That's one thing I can promise. I promise I wasn't on the island. That's really the only thing I think I can deny on that post, you know? Like, I think everything else, I don't know, but I'm pretty sure me being on Epstein's Island, I can confidently deny. Everything else is up in the air. I will not confirm nor deny any of the other slanderous remarks made about me. So we'll just leave it there. You saw me there? How did you see me there? Were you also there? Is that what this is? You? So, dude, this is crazy. You know what? Every time I think it's bad, I think it's bad every single time. I'm like, oh, everything that's said about me is so awful. And then somehow it just like somehow just gets worse. And now I'm like someone on Epstein's Island. I look like a greasy little hockey player when I put my hair by my ears. I'm now on Epstein's Island. I'm also HIV positive. So many things. So many things. Bullseye decided to show his face after the ridicule I received from you yesterday. Crazy. Okay. Yeah, all three of them are live. Honestly, because I know, are they both on Koi? Like, are they both... General chat was crazy yesterday. I don't even know what happened. I just remember looking down and I was like, this is really going. Wiz on Koi, Easy's on Side Stories. Okay. That's crazy. We're all at different points. Oh, he's on... Oh, no. Shadow Slave. Okay. I feel I have to add Shadow Slave to the list. I gotta read that. Okay. But we'll start here. So I'm gonna start with chapter 581. Both getting into character. I'm interested to see. We got the black, like the Black Death, the ship. It popped up last chapter. So we're gonna see what happens. Maybe we'll finally go on that sea adventure I was really excited about. That'd be cool. I can't even say Dara likes grandma's slander because I'm the one who said it. Starting off with chapter 581, both getting into character and detachment. Only a single Black Death. The other ships are anchored beyond the Rorst Archipelago's coffins because they're afraid of being discovered. This is good news. Klein tracked his gaze and deliberately bit his lip to express his agitation. You have a 12-hour flight? Yuck. Make sure you take some Gravol before you go. Take a nice nap. After taking a glance at Helen's side profile, Mithra lit a torch and began swinging it to signal to the flagships. Before long, a dinghy came and took him and the disguised Klein back to the Black Death. As the dinghy was being hoisted up, Klein boarded another pirate admiral's flagship. Under Mithra's lead, he entered the cabin. Yeah, also safe travels. Travel safe, take some Gravol. Honestly, I normally just pop like Benadryl or something and it knocks me out. I'm pretty sure Bullseye's here. So I'm scared of a chat with no mods. After I saw the general chat, that was terrifying. I don't ever want to see a live chat with no mods. Bullseye also doesn't count because he's the instigator for everything that ever happens in chat and the server and everything. Waiting for them up ahead was a blonde female attendant. She glanced at Helen with a cold stare before pointing sideways to the room. Go in. This attitude, it's like meeting a love rival in the flesh. Both men and women fall to the Vice Admiral Ailment's charm. The cuffed Klein instantly increased his vigilance as he wore a heavy expression and followed the blonde female attendant into the room. He originally believed that he would immediately meet Tracy and obtain a chance to meet her in private. He was already ready to strike, but apart from the wardrobe, soft sofa, and full-body mirror in a cramped, carpeted room, there was nothing. Could it be that Tracy has deliberately given Helen the cold shoulder to express her anger? Kyne recalled the romance. Novels and contrived television serials he had previously watched while contemplating the reason for Ailment Maiden's actions. The blonde female attendant shot a glance at Helen's male attire and the lack of androgynous beauty due to the lack of makeup. Took 2 steps, opened the wardrobe, and pointed to the dress inside. Captain doesn't like your present attire. Change. Fuck. Klein cursed inwardly. He originally imagined that he could be granted a meeting with Vice Admiral Ailment Tracy while looking like Helen and dressed as a male. He was thankful that he didn't need to overly humiliate himself to achieve his goal, but in the end, he didn't manage to escape this outcome as he wanted to avoid. Seeing Helen standing there in a daze, the blonde female attendant glared at her. You have 2 choices. Either you change yourself or I help you. Klein did one of the red-haired Helen's habitual motions and inhaled slightly. Remove my cuffs. He turned his body sideways and gestured with his chin towards the door. And go outside. Cunning whore. The blonde female attendant cursed under her breath and used the key given to her by Mithra to release Helen from her cuffs. After she left the room and closed the door, Klein walked to the wardrobe and stood there in a daze for 20 seconds. Suddenly he closed his eyes and extended his right hand. After an unknown period of time, he came in front of the full-body mirror and saw Helen's red hair cascading down in a reflection. Her green eyes shimmered while she wore a gold-red dress. By her waist was a ribbon turned into a flower. It was pulled tight, accumulating her slender waist. Helen's beautiful face was flushed red as her lips were tightly pursed. Her expression was heavy, looking very identical to the picture from before. Klein looked at his present image and first felt somewhat embarrassed. However, he had gotten over it to a certain extent. Have to prove what to me? while changing. Besides, there wasn't anyone else inside. Second, he gradually found a different feeling. This wasn't to say that his gradually liking such acts. Instead, while overcoming his mental aversion, he gained some form of detached from his self-awareness. It felt like his soul had flown out of his body, allowing him to calmly observe Helen dressing up as a female attire and adjusting her clothes through the mirror with a calm attitude. He believed this was necessary steps to the mission, and that there was nothing embarrassing or odd about this. Klein felt a baffling sense of familiarity. As he tried hard to recall complete this feeling in a bit. What am I, is there a music change at the chapter end? Okay, just let me know when to change the music and I will change the music. Soon he found the source. This was similar to him playing role-playing games. In it, he could choose a female character, carefully choosing the facial features and attire of the characters, allowing the beauty to please his eyes. There was nothing kinky or embarrassing while doing this. On the one hand, he was viewing it from an angle of a god through the scene, making his attitude detached. On the other hand, there was serious acting going on through the plot. By combining the two perfectly and not distinguishing between them, he didn't have any aversion to it, because he was playing the game. This, Klein suddenly opened his half-closed eyes, feeling like this was the faceless state he had been searching for. He couldn't act anymore, but he was still only human. As he got into character and worked hard to act, he could detach his feelings and observe things calmly. By making comparisons, he could figure himself out and find his true self. That's both getting into character and detachment. This is the actual application of the faceless main principle. Klein suddenly felt in peace as it remnant embarrassment coexisted with his changed attitude. I feel my ears burning up whenever Harsh calls out my name. With a detached attitude, as though he was playing a playing game, he observed himself in a full-body mirror and turned hard to find any flaws. Thankfully, I got Donitz to get 2 sets of female clothing to study the way it's all put together. Otherwise, there's no way I could wear them so quickly and normally. As a first-timer, it would be easy to expose my flaws. This is called professionalism. Women's clothing sure is complicated. Yeah, it really is. From the perspective of a faceless, there are many flaws in Helen's facial features and contours. She might be beautiful, but it's definitely nothing I call stunning. There it is, folks. Klein's wonderful description of women. Yes, with this state in mind, I can clearly feel the potion digesting. Klein looked at himself in the mirror as though he was looking at a character named Helen. Thump, thump, thump. The blonde female attendant banged on the door and asked impatiently, "Are you done yet?" Klein's face instantly sank, as though he hadn't returned him the 10,000 pounds she was owed. He maintained the state as she walked to the door and pulled it open. The blonde female attendant shot him with a glance and raised the handcuffs. "Put your hands to your back. Now you're a prisoner." Excuse me. As red-haired Helen was on the Black Death, she wasn't afraid that she would bring her any harm. All she wanted was to humiliate her as much as she could. Klein grunted and half-turned his body, putting his hands on his back. He felt relaxed because the woman wasn't paying too much attention to his attire. After putting on the cuffs, he was led by the blonde female attendant to the entrance of the cabin's capital. The door was half open, allowing the fragrance of warmth emanating out. It wasn't too strong, but it was sufficiently long-lasting. It had a scent that kept pulling one back as they would involuntarily wish to head to bed for pleasure. The blonde female attendant knocked on the door and was just about to say a word when the gloomy but sufficiently beautiful female voice sounded from inside. Let her come in alone." The blonde attendant's face instantly sank as she pushed open the door, signaling with her eyes for Klein to enter. The moment of truth was here. Klein took a deep breath and stepped inside the room. The door behind him closed with a thud, isolating the inside from the room. Klein walked across the thick carpet and using the candlelight from the golden candle rack, saw a rather beautiful lady sitting back behind a desk while leaning back. She was wearing beige trousers with her feet extended diagonally, well crossed. Her brows were long and straight, and her azure blue eyes were sharp and bright. She wore a white linen shirt, allowing her intimate body to be faintly peek through the black raven curly hair cascaded to hide the critical bits, making Klein instantly feel uncomfortable. Upon seeing red-haired Helen enter, Vice Admiral Ailment Tracy raised her left hand and asked with an ambiguous smile, "Tell me, how should I punish you?" She held a black leather whip in her hand. "Ma'am, there's always room for discussion." Klein lampooned and resisted his discomfort. His eyes first moved upwards before leveling towards her. He said without a hint of emotion, "Returning to this place is already the greatest punishment. Anything else is just a bonus." What are we about to read? You're as stubborn as usual, yet always so indecisive. Tracy stood up. She was tall and slender, and under the illumination of candlelight, her figure's shadows danced with extreme charm. She held back her smile and walked towards Red. No, like we're actually about to read some Yuri right now. I thought, like, I knew we were getting like a little bit, and it was gonna be like a haha funny. I was like, no, like we're actually gonna get like Yuri. Damn. I'm here for it. I do not have any qualms or complaints. She didn't have any ounce of doubt. During this process, Klein noticed that she wore a bangle and inlaid diamonds on her wrists. The mystical item described by Helen. I can reduce most forms of damage. Klein, who had originally planned to take action the moment the gap between the narrowed, held back his urge. Oh, they cuffed you. That's nice. We haven't played such a game before, Tracy said with a smile, but her azure blue eyes seemed to be stormy ocean that was gathered strength. Ma'am, your lines are quite terrible. Klein pursed his lips tightly and didn't say a word. Tracy came in front of him and raised her right hand to slide down his cheek. Returning is the greatest punishment. As she spoke, her eyes, slightly misty, turned extremely alluring. You usually don't seem to think so, although you also resist in the beginning. You're often more passionate than me towards the end. Before she finished her sentence, Klein pulled out his left hand from the handcuff, and he grabbed the bangle on her wrist in a manner that was as fast as lightning. He then violently swiped it down. At the same time, he turned a gold shade. Klein's green and deep eyes suddenly lit up with 2 bolts of lightning. Are there no mods? Spoil the book. Tell me what happens. Tell me who dies. I'm kidding. Please don't. Do it. And then I'm going to tell Cammy on you. And the ability to pull his hands out the cuffs was a magical power. It was the bone-softening power which Klein very seldomly used. When is this? Oh, for the end of the chapter. Okay. Thank you. He had long made plans and preparations for what he would do after infiltrating. It was to find a chance to be alone with Vice Admiral Ailment Tracy and assassinate her without holding back. Only by doing so did he have a chance of defeating a pirate admiral. Only by doing so could he severely injure and capture. And even if I couldn't be alone, it couldn't be done. He didn't mind killing her. He was already very accustomed to channeling spirits above the gray fog. He wasn't afraid of not being able to obtain the intelligence he needed. A human trafficker didn't deserve any pity. In addition, in order to prevent himself from tripping himself up, he only brought the most difficult to detect creeping hunger, which was good at disguising itself. The other mystical items were placed in the mysterious space above the gray fog. Furthermore, he was on the Black Death with several opposing Beyonders on board. He had to finish the battle as quickly as possible. This was also to avoid being taken down by Tracy Ailment's powers. The longer he fought, the worse the ailment inflicted on him would be. In an instant, the bangle with the inlaid diamonds was removed from Tracy's wrist. Klein's green eyes flashed with lightning, while a beautiful and charming Vice Admiral Elman remained in a daze. All she did was instinctively dodge. She couldn't believe that Helen would attack her or dare believe that she possessed such retaliations and abilities. Chapter 582, Provocation. So I'm assuming this is what I'm going to change. Yeah? She spoke, her eyes turned misty. Okay, I will change it then. Give her this long-ass title. I hate when they have really long titles because it's such a bitch to write it out. Sometimes because I can't spell it, and other times because I gotta fit it on the screen. But most times because I can't spell it. I can. Okay, what was it? It was as she spoke, her eyes turned misty. Okay. Change the music now? Should I change music now or change music then? Okay, I'm just gonna leave it for now. Oh, did I already read it? I might have already read it. That's on me. I'm getting it. I'm getting it. I'm getting it. There's always a lag. It'll pick back up in a minute. There's always a lag, but that's okay. It is what it is. Okay, chapter 582, Provocation. Tracy saw two bolts of lightning light up in Helen's beautiful emerald eyes as the blinding silver occupied her entire vision. Her beautifully contoured chin was suddenly lifted as though she was about to let out a tragic scream. However, she stiffened on the spot, shattering like a mirage. The full-body mirror placed in the room cracked and quickly crumbled, shattering on the floor. Mirror substitution spell. Tracy's figure in her pure white shirt, beige trouser, and black leather boots appeared in the corner where the full-body mirror was located. Before she could catch her breath, she heard heavy footsteps and saw red-haired Helen's dress fluttering to the back as she charged forward like a chariot. The glove she wore on her left hand was pale and gloomy green. Klein had already switched to the zombie state. His muscles were taut and his strength was increased stability. His sleeves fluttered as his cheeks and his fist tightly before, throwing it at Vice Admiral Elma Tracy like an iron hammer. Bang, bang, bang. Although he continued maintaining Helen's appearance, his actions were, his actions were like ferocious beasts. He was fierce and formidable as he bombarded Tracy with his punches and kicks. All she could do was desperately parry his attacks without having the time to use beyond her powers. If a demoness of afflictions, corresponding sequence 9 was an assassin, allowing her to have an extraordinary combat skill and dodging capabilities, this barrage of attacks would have left her heavily injured. Klein's first emitted a white, frosty air, causing Tracy to tremble with every step time she made contact. Gradually, ice began to form around the surface of her body. It was like a zombie's mastery of frost power. Seeing her blood gradually stiffen, Tracy didn't hesitate and took the blow. Her lips turned pale as her mouth opened slightly as she let out a formless scream. Accompanied by this scream, a blue illusory halo surged out of her body. It left stacked layers of frost in the wake. In just 1 to 2 seconds, both of them found themselves in a frozen world. They were surrounded by thick and transparent ice, and there was loose frost blanketing the exterior. The two looked very close to one another, but they needed a break through the various obstructions to fight each other. A smile appeared on Tracy's gallant and brilliant face as she silently black flame ignited within her body. It quickly melted the surrounding ice as it began to launch a counterattack, allowing Ailment Maiden to grasp the advantage. Um, oh, I lost it. At that moment in time, she saw Helen, who was often frail and indecisive, snap her fingers without expression. A matchstick she had noticed lit up the scarlet flames, leaped instantly. It enveloped the red-haired figured dress. Tracy's pupil constricted as her spiritual intuition gave her an extreme sense of foreboding. In the sense, black flames behind her, Klein leaped out in the form of Helen. His extended both his arms and hugged Tracy, locking his arms in the process. At the same time, he opened his mouth and shouted, "Bang!" A formless air bullet shot out of the might that exceeded that of a revolver. It was comparable to the latest rifle models. It passed through the void and accurately hit the back of Tracy's head. Oof. The bullet drilled through her skull, but Vice Admiral Ailment's figure suddenly contracted, turning into a broken black staff. Magic staff substitution spell. Tracy. What the fuck is with all these substitution spells? Tracy rapidly appeared diagonally across him. The buttons on her skirt dropped as she revealed a mesmerizing view of fair skin. However, what caught Klein's attention wasn't that, but the blood on her palm. Um, while Klein restrained While Klein restrained Tracy, she had clawed behind her, ripping off a piece of fabric and injuring his thigh. At this moment, Tracy quickly opened the closet, closed her mouth twice as illusory black flames appeared from her palm to burn the blood. This was black magic, a witch's curse. Klein couldn't help but tremble. A black flame ignited from within him, and the soles on the top of his head. He was rapidly reduced to paper shreds. Just as he appeared in another corner, he felt countless invisible spiders' webs swirl towards him. Some were hard and attempted to blind him, while others were soft in a bid to stimulate different parts of the body. Klein, who was a beyonder who acted extremely calm during the combat, felt his heart race as his ears heated up. His body turned numb and sore, having a discomfort of a cold, while having the urge to have his blood surge downwards compared to Madame Sharon. Okay, 583. From Tingen City, Tracy's spiderweb was far more terrifying. Klein didn't dare to underestimate it as he immediately snapped his fingers. The snap ignited all of the surrounding spiderwebs as scarlet flames extended from where they came from and surged towards Tracy like a tidal wave. Back in Tingen, Klein already knew that the spiderwebs from the Demoness of Pleasure were weak against fire. Instantly, the middle of the room became a huge ignited web. Tracy was caught by surprise as the flames swept towards her. She exhaled as an eerie blue illusory light surged outwards and froze her within a transparent but gigantic crystal. The scarlet flame surged over and kept melting the ice, but it gradually weakened. Klein didn't pick up the demon inlaid bangle because he wasn't sure that the negative side effects it might have. To rashly use the mystical item without sufficient comprehension, it was highly likely to be harmful rather than beneficial. He straightened his body and opened his arms, letting his left glove be dyed in the illusory, lustrous glow of the sun, priest of light. At this instant, Tracy, who was hiding inside the ice, felt that the extremely familiar Helen wore a holy luster in between. Where was I? She was like a flower of war stained with blood. Tracy shouted with a clear, hoarse voice, "Who are you? Why don't you dare show yourself? While wearing this dress, using my own looks would look so odd. It's more suitable to use Helen's appearance." Klein detached himself as this, though, flashed through his mind. Following that, he praised the sun. A magnificent pure beam of light descended with a golden flame swirling around it. It completely blanketed the ice and Tracy. As the ice rapidly melted and vanished at an indiscernible pace, the bright and holy light dimmed before the disintegrating. it had like one part up top, one part on the bottom. The color of Tracy's face drained as she did a somersault and agilely dodged Klein's psychic's piercing from his switch to his integrated soul, letting whatever damage she received happen inside the beam of light. The light of holiness was strong against the undead and corrupt, so it was only considered an ordinary sequence 5 strike on a demoness. Bang, bang, bang. Tracy did multiple somersaults and dodged Klein's air bullets, leaving holes in the carpet. As she rolled, her figure vanished from the enemy's sight. A demoness's invisibility, Klein bent his back slightly as he was on high guard. He then used his spiritual perception and his sense of danger as a clown to seek out Tracy's location. However, he was unable to find her in the short amount of time. Furthermore, his forehead was heating up and his lungs were burning. His throat hurt and itched. He nearly couldn't keep himself from coughing any longer. No, I can't let this drag out any longer. Klein's thoughts raced as he suddenly laughed deeply. He then used a stiff male voice and said, "Helen told me your secrets. She also told me all of her secrets." Before he finished his sentence, his spiritual perception was triggered. This was because he discovered an intense emotional fluctuation in a particular corner. The emotions and rage and hatred were impossible to hide from him. Klein immediately turned around and looked. Instantly, layers of golden scales appeared on the left glove. His eyes were tainted with gold color, as his pupils turned vertical. Silently, Tracy's figure was outlined as she wore a painful and twisted expression. Her extremely feminine raven black curly hair grew uncontrollably as they spread out in every direction. Psychiatrist frenzy. Tracy, whose emotions had been stirred, nearly broke down when faced with such an attack. She temporarily lost her reasoning. Klein took out the opportunity and snapped his fingers. An air bullet crossed the distance between them, heading straight for Tracy's face, that remained beautiful despite the twisted expression. Suddenly, a wisp of thick raven black hair swept over, changing the direction of the air bullet. It struck Tracy in the left shoulder, causing her clothes to tear and her blood to spurt. Even her bones were exposed. Tracy let out a shrill cry as immense amounts of black flames spewed out of her body, enveloping her. Following that, thick ice crystals formed outside the black flames. Beyond it, the raven black curly hair that frantically grew wrapped Tracy in black flames. And the ice, in thick layers, it seemed to form a gigantic cocoon made of human hair. Bang, bang, bang. Klein's air bullets shot out one after another, but they only penetrated the black hair and got stuck in the ice. He paused and made a left glove emit a brilliance of the sun. At this moment, his throat itched, unable to control himself any further. He began coughing violently. He failed to produce an attack he was prepared to deliver. Inside the black-haired cocoon, Tracy had recovered her senses. She raised her voice and sharply shouted, "Enemy assault! Enemy assault!" It was an instant. Klein paused for a second. In his moment adrift thoughts, he felt as though he had returned to Blackland, returning to the first time he encountered the devil dog. He knew he wasn't its match and could only shout "Murder and save me" before successfully escaping from the danger. At that moment in time, Tracy's cries had the same effect. Even if there weren't a dozen Beyonders in the Black Death, and the number were close to that. Furthermore, there were relatively many Beyonders in reluctantly high sequences. Indeed, killing a pirate admiral in a short period of time is too difficult. Even if the assassination, Klein coughed twice and snapped his fingers. He stopped attacking and hesitating. He turned and ran off to the window and the captain's cabins. The last thing he noticed was the diamond inlet bangle, but he didn't dare to retrieve it. Firstly, he was afraid that the severe negative effects would affect his escaping, and secondly, he was afraid that Tracy would be able to lead a bunch of people and Beyonders to pursue him with the help of the item's location. After she recovered, a pursuit at sea would then unfold. "I can't be greedy." Klein turned his head and smashed through the window and fell into the deck. Two pirates happened to come over as they thrust their cutlasses forward. Their cutlasses pierced through the paper figurine. Klein's figure instantly appeared behind one of the pirates as he extended his left hand, opening the furious and creeping mouth on his palm. Creeping hunger bit down on his food while Klein lifted the pirate up before the Beyonders rushed over. He took wide steps and ran to the shipboard under gunfire. He purged onto the dark sea under the night sky. Chapter 583. Contingency Plan. Damn. How do I spell contingency? Okay, I was spelling right. What happened in chat? I wasn't even looking at the chat while I was reading. I was just like focused on reading. Yeah, I'm pretty sure the only mods I had was I know Bullseye was a mod. I asked Cammy if he wanted mod and he said no. So I was like, okay. I wasn't even focused on the chat, so I don't know what's been going on in there. Okay, chapter 583, contingency plan. We're reading really fast today. Normally I read really fast when I'm not like distracted by anything or I'm not getting bullied. Okay, here's the thing. I'm gonna be super honest. I have not really been looking at chat this stream. Not that I don't love you guys. Just, I feel like I'm behind. Like, I feel like I'm only chapter 583. There's still so much to read. I'm like really behind in where I should be in the book. Yeah, thank you, Harsh. See, I'm a little behind. I'm giving you a break. I'm doing this for you. You've been working hard. You've been carrying the team on your back with the clips and the quotes and everything. We're giving you a break today. That's for you. I'm honestly, I was debating making you a mod. I was like, I feel like you do so much work. You put in the work. And, I think chapter 583, contingency plan. There are, guys, mods, my hat keeps feeling like it's not in the right position. The ice cold water instantly inundated Klein, drenching his golden red dress and making him sink like a rock. At the same time, Creeping Hunger had already finished eating the pirate, lightening his load. Klein didn't attempt to float up as he instead continued sinking downwards. He could faintly hear splashing sounds across the distant waves. Apparently, pirates from the sailor pathway had engaged in pursuit. This was their home ground. They could act like fish in such environments for a very long period of time. Klein wasn't alarmed. As a magician who never performed unprepared, he had obviously thought of his escape plans. If he met with failure, after all, there was nothing guaranteed by such matters. To do the best acting as Helen and not be discovered by Vice Admiral Emma Tracy, he had not only left the other mystical items in cache above the Grey Fog, but he had even done so for the charms that came under the water and wind domain that he recently made. However, this didn't affect him. As a god, a blessed, and a believer trinity, he had many miracles methods to deal with the corresponding situations. He quickly made Creeping Hunger turn pale and to be dyed in a gloomy green. The surrounding seawater froze, forming layers of frost. Before the frost completely turned into ice, Klein spread out his wing muscles and spread out his arms. With the strength of a zombie, he shattered the frost, sending them slightly further away. This way, he temporarily produced a narrow space that didn't have any seawater around him. The water instantly surged backwards to fill the space. Klein extended his left palm and released the terrifying cold and spread it out, creating layers of ice walls. For a brief moment, he seemed to be encased in a thin ice prison. He could stand in it and produce sounds, but he was only limited to his tiny space. Klein immediately took tiny steps in a counterclockwise fashion while murmuring, "The celestial worthy of heaven and earth for blessings, before rapidly letting his spirit body go above the gray fog. I'm gonna read Omniscient Reader's viewpoint after I finish this. Okay, because here's the thing. Once I finish this book, I'm deciding, do I read Omniscient Reader's viewpoint or do I read Koi? Because here's the thing. I read Lord of Mysteries on stream. Oh, bye, David. I read hi Elma. I read Lord of Mysteries on stream, but I read other books just in like my spare time. Like I've read in the past like month, I read like 4 or 5 books outside of this just in like my spare time. So like if I do this in Koi and then I just read Omniscient Reader viewpoint like on my own time, because I do really want to read it. Do you know what's crazy? I'm actually a really fast reader and I'm actually a really good reader if it's not reading out loud. If I read it in my head, I'm pretty good. It's just when I have to like read the words out loud that it doesn't translate. I can see the words, read the words, but when I say the words, they don't translate properly. So after this, do Omniscient Reader's viewpoint? Is that kind of the consensus? Is finish Lord of Mysteries and go to ORV? Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll do a poll. When we're close to finishing this, we'll do a poll on which one I should read, whether it's this Omniscient Reader's viewpoint or Koi Omniscient Reader's viewpoint, something else. We'll see what we do. We'll do a little poll of all the different ones. Just as the body appeared in the fool's high back chair, he immediately picked up the sea god scepter, which he had placed on the table. Without needing to identify anything, he selected the point of light representing Garamond Sparrow, who had recently been promoted to believer of sea god. Though a previously established connection, he raised the short milky white scepter and made the blue gems on it emit a blurry luster. He replied to his believer and augmented himself with all sorts of spells, including but not limited to the underwater breathing, freedom of movement, and pressure resistance. Finally, he used the paper angel to interfere with the divination. He then ordered the nearby undersea creature to help protect Garamond Sparrow's escape. After doing all this, Klein didn't delay and had immediately returned to the real world to gain control of his body. At that moment, the seawater's pressure had crushed the constantly melting ice wall and had retaken the independent space. However, Klein could already breathe easily and swim rapidly. Through the rippling but crystalline waters, he saw fishes swimming towards him. The dark shadow rose up from beneath his feet, and an unknowing behemoth rapidly rose. It was a strange brownish red creature that looked like a squid. It was so massive that the tentacles were enough to blind an entire ship. It spewed black ink and instantly dyed the surrounding sea black. A few sailor pathway beyonders who were pursuing Klein instantly saw black on their bodies turned numb. Unclear of what was happening, he immediately floated to the surface and dealt with the abnormalities of their bodies. By the time they dived down again to find the enemy, they had already lost track of Klein. At this moment, the swimming was at the bottom of the sea with a great satisfaction. He even had the time to divert his attention to recall his failed operation and reflect on what he had done. He had sufficient preparations to act as Helen, even Tracy, who had shared numerous rites with her on the same bed, couldn't instantly see through me. I accelerated the digestion of the potion. During this process, I had to overcome my aversion and find a way to both get into character and be detached. This was extremely helpful to the digestion of the potion. I basically did the best I could for the bottle. I can be considered a prepared performance, but I underestimated the strength of Sequence 5 Demoness of Affliction and the experience of someone who inched her way to becoming Vice Admiral Ailment. Even though she lost her mystical item in the beginning, my present strength and my mystical weren't enough to kill her quickly. unless I had used the sea god scepter, but this is around the roasted archipelago. Through today's battle, I can clearly tell that I lack mystical items and powerful offensive abilities. Bye, Sal. Facing the reality of a failed mission, Klein was no doubt somewhat disappointed. However, he wasn't depressed because this wasn't the end of the matter. He planned on writing to Mr. Azek to see if he was interested in the ancient chronicles related to death, and if he had the time to pay a visit. Before Klein left the captain's cabin, he had snapped his fingers to ignite the male clothing he had left in the changing room, as well as any hair on the skin he had left behind. This was to make it seem like he didn't wish to leave any traces, but it was the fact of form of concealment and decent. When he was concealing was What he was concealing was the hair and button he secretly thrown into a particular room without anyone noticing after he entered the cabin. Having wiped away any traces of himself, Vice Admiral Ailment, Tracy would mistakenly believe that the assassin was afraid of exposing himself because of the fear suffering the remote curse. Then it would be difficult for her to seriously get the pirates to check for any remnant items. With the hair and the button, Klein could use divination to lock onto the location of the Black Death up to a certain amount of time. This way, as long as Mr. Azek was willing, he could bring him to Vice Admiral Ailment Tracy. I ordinarily thought I wouldn't need Mr. Azek's help. I thought I could successfully succeed just by myself alone. Ultimately, I fell just short. Klein sighed and felt a blow to his self-esteem. This was one of the reasons why he didn't see Mr. Azek's help in the beginning. The other reason was that he was certain that Tracy was in possession of an ancient chronicles related to death. If she really did have it, it would be rather awkward to have Mr. Azek make a trip for nothing. Furthermore, he was worried that even with Mr. Azek's help, that he would still need to act as Helen to find the Black Death in Tracy. He still needed to wear her clothes and use himself as bait. That would be too embarrassing to do in front of someone he knew. In fact, if it wasn't to obtain intelligence and solely to eliminate Vice Admiral Ailment Tracy, it would have been long simpler. Once I swim back to Bayham and go above the Great Fog, I simply need to lock onto the location and use the Sea God Scepter to create a storm. This isn't to say that a huge area of attack blast will definitely kill Tracy on the spot, but it will attract the Sea King, young Cotman's attention. When the time comes, the Black Death's location would be exposed to the Church of Storms. Sea King will happily take down Ailment's maiden. Klein shook his head in self-deprecating mockery. With his seer spiritual intuition guiding him, he rapidly swam towards the shore. On the Black Death, Tracy removed her layers of defense and walked to the diamond inlet bangle. In her damaged, blood-stained clothes, she bent down to pick it up. What a curious, cautious attacker. I might not even be comparable to her back when I was an assassin. No, him. Tracy suddenly clenched her teeth. This wasn't because she nearly died at the hands, but because she had sensed that the man had done something to Helen. According to the way Emperor Roselle put it, she suspected that there was something green growing on her head. Helen, are you really that cold and heartless? No, perhaps she was forced. Tracy turned her head to look at the nasty wound on her left shoulder as she felt the heart-wrenching pain. If not for the strengthening of her physique, brought about by the assassin and skater sequence, with a significant enhancement of subsequent sequences, just that one blow alone could have made her lose her entire arm. She would be likely one of those pirates who had their arms blown off by a rifle. As the blood flowed from her stained her red vision, Tracy got the blonde female attendant to enter and use her abilities to help her heal with her injuries, while instructing the surrounding pirates who had their eyes fixated on her to search for any items the attacker might have left behind. Fortunately, the pirates informed her that all of his clothes had been automatically destroyed. This made Tracy recall the snap that enemy had made before he left. She sighed once again. How careful. Furthermore, he's not one bit greedy. If he had taken that bangle, then I wouldn't need to worry about not catching up to him. Tracy waved her hand, motioning the most of the pirates to leave behind Wormtongue, Mither King, and a few high-ranking members of the crew. Third mate, go to Bayham again, perform thorough investigation to figure out the resistance found that Helen Tracy ordered in a solemn voice. With a very great difficulty, Mithrid retracted his gaze from his captain's chest. "All right." Tracy thought for a moment and added, "Spread this matter. Say that I'm seriously injured and will not be able to recover anytime soon. Also, first mate, immediately set sail. Don't stay here any longer." As she issued orders, silence was quickly restored around Tracy. Only at this point did she have the time to figure out which faction of attacker came for, why he would attack her, and what motives he had. Unfortunately, the more Tracy thought, the more puzzled she became. She had no idea what the truth was, although she had many enemies, none whom possessed similar powers. Finally, she found a clue that she muttered to herself: creeping hunger. In the middle of the night, in a private harbor on Blue Mountain Island, standing by the receding and advancing waves, was a female figure. She was none other than Klein, who was still disguised as Helen. He circled under the waters and quickly came onto shore. He infiltrated the house of the nearby fishermen and got some tattered clothes to change into before changing back into Garum Sparrow. Leaving behind a rather expensive dress as compensation, Klein rapidly left the pirate harbor and returned to the city of Generosity Bayham before daybreak. He wasn't in a rush to meet up with Donitz. Instead, he found a random motel to stay in. He used a ritual and brought back Azek's copper whistle, other mystical items, and cashed in the real world. After confirming that he didn't divine the location of Black Death, he blew the copper whistle. Chapter 584, Scapegoat. Loving Azek every day. And that's why he was an A-rank character. And you know I'm not wrong on that one. Actually, I'm not wrong on any of the character rankings I had. The only thing I forgot was I did forget Emlyn. That one is aggressive. And I also forgot Susie. But that was it. And everybody else deserved to be where they were. Yep. And I will take no criticisms. Scapegoat. Yeah, because Trissy deserved to be in C tier. Did you want me to put her in B tier? 4's in D tier is not blasphemy. That is just facts. Shio also in D tier. Nobody really cared that Shio was in D tier. Everybody's all upset that Forbes was there though. But I'm sorry. Both of them. Fours is not S tier. I think next time I'm gonna do it because this was around chapter 575. So I'm probably gonna do it around chapter 900, I think. I think that's because there's I'll probably do it around chapter 900, 950, something like that. I'll do another one. And I'm probably gonna add an S tier and then an S plus tier, and then we'll add an F tier, and we'll add more tiers next time. I just kind of left it pretty standard to throw them in, and we're gonna have a bunch of characters. And then on the very last one, because we'll do a very last one, I'll have all of the characters. And we'll throw them all somewhere. After lowering a copper whistle, because I didn't realize, I saw that Wiz had also done this. And I was like, I'm so excited to finish, and then I can see his ranking and compare my ranking to his ranking. Yay! I love when there's artwork. It always makes me so happy. Shio is a bum. I think she's gonna join the tarot club. I also think yeah. I think Shio's gonna join the tarot club. Yeah. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see where we put them. Chapter 584, Scapegoat. Harsh. Both Shio and Fours are F tier. Neither one of them is maybe scraping, maybe D tier. But if we're adding lower tiers. I got got no issue with Shio and I got no issue with Fours, except for I have every issue with Shio and every issue with Fours. I don't hate them as a character, I just don't like them. Like, if I had to say, oh, who are some of your least favorite characters, it's just like, okay, well, like, it's not that they're bad characters, they're just fucking boring. Like, they give nothing. Why am I getting compared to Fours? Whatever, I need to know what traits me and Fours have that are similar. So whatever traits those are, I can just wipe them from myself. I'll just create like a separate tier, and it's just gonna be a bottom. Gio go in like probably like D tier still, unless something changes. But I'm just gonna put Fours in her own tier. It's just gonna be S plus S A B C D F, or like E F, and then it's gonna be like, no, we'll get rid of E, but like F, and then it's just gonna be Fours, and she's just gonna be right there by herself. Stalin short writes cringe. Sorry. Hey, are me and her the same height? She's also 5'4". She's also 25 years old? Why do me and Shio have so much in common? We have nothing in common. The only thing we have in common is our age and our height. And we both have brown hair. Does she have blue eyes? No, she doesn't have blue eyes. She better not have blue eyes. She better have, like, brown eyes. Or green or something. Actually, no. She better have, like, brown eyes. Does she have blue eyes? Oh my god. Am I Fours? Maybe that's why I put her in D tier. No, I'm just kidding. I love myself. I don't like that she copied my look, though. These illusory white bones begin weakly thrown up from the ground as they slowly form gigantic figures in the scene where fountain, the fantasy setting. Then this was more like the flow from an ordinary verse tap. The corners of Klein's mouth moved indiscernibly as he pretended as though he didn't notice anything amiss. After a few seconds, the skeleton messenger finally took form. Its nearly 4-meter-tall body tore through the ceilings once again, and the pitch-black flames in its eye sockets burned suddenly. Klein folded the letter he had finished writing and threw it up. He described the detail of the tycoon Jimmy Necker in the letter. He mentioned the connection between the death chronicles found in the southern continent, Balam Emperor's Mausoleum, as well as the connection the item he had with Vice Admiral Hurricane Kalangos and Vice Admiral Aylman Tracy. He had also mentioned how he had successfully snuck in. That's what it is, because it keeps saying sneaked in. Sneaked, I don't know if that's even a word, but it's definitely not proper grammar. It's snuck in. And it keeps throwing me off every time I try and read it. Necker. Necker. He also mentioned how he had successfully snuck in, and although his assassination had failed, he had left behind something that could be used to determine the location of Black Death. Of course, he didn't go into detail how he snuck in. He had only roughly recounted Vice Admiral Aylman Tracy's combat techniques and style. After the message caught the letter was swiped with that could send an adult human flying, Klein coughed and cleared his throat. I already have a messenger. The pitch black flames in the skeleton's messenger sockets were clearly flickered before its body collapsed like a waterfall before drilling into the parquet. You don't have to be afraid of becoming my messenger anymore, right? I am that detestable of your kind. Yes, these messengers from the underworld probably can't bear to lead Mr. Azek after all. The link is in the bio on YouTube, and then I'm pretty sure the link is also in the bio on TikTok, so you can find it either way and then just join. I don't know if you want to join though. That Discord chat is cursed. That is a cursed Discord chat. It has become something that, I don't know. Oh, the one on YouTube doesn't work? Okay, well, the one on the TikTok works. So just go there. And that'll be it. I can also just send it in the group chat at the very end. Marcus flowed out as he coughed. His forehead slowly but decisively began. I'll send the link here after I'm done reading. It began burning with heat. And no, I was not on the island. That's what I'm saying. That group chat is cursed. That group chat is so cursed. Oh no, Vice Admiral ailment is still lingering in my body, but I confronted a 10-degree cold wind in order to return to BAM. I really felt ill as a result. Klein used inferior tissue paper and wiped his mucus, contemplating whether to summon himself and act as a spirit body stated so that his physical body could heal by itself. After serious considerations, he believed that it was impossible. Firstly, his physical condition would clearly affect his spirit body condition. The two were closely related in some magical manner. Secondly, if he ignored it, his physical condition would definitely worsen. I'm becoming a little dazed from the fever. Klein touched his forehead and prepared to return to the winds of Azure. Is there no mod in here? Is Romero a mod? I actually don't remember. I don't think Bullseye is here. Okay. Give me a minute, I'll grab it. I'll grab it. Give me a minute. Who be glazing? Ow, my arm. Okay. I see someone's on it already, so I don't. Somebody else is on it. Dude, Miss HIV Island Visitor is crazy. Just when I think it can't get worse, you guys pull out the most wild accusations and allegations against me, slandering my name. That's insane. After serious consideration, he believed that this was impossible. Firstly, his physical condition would clearly affect his spirit body condition. The two were closely related in some magical manner. Secondly, if he ignored it, his physical condition would definitely worsen. That's okay, I will deal with it in a minute. I'm becoming a little dazed with a fever. There you go. Added as a moderator. And you know what? Well deserved. Well deserved. Even if you don't do anything, you just deserve the title for all the work you do. There you go, he's a moderator. I'm becoming a little dazed from the fever. Klein touched his forehead and prepared to return to the Winds of Azure Inn to meet up with Donuts. Then he had considered, oh, is Donuts gonna take care of a sick Garamond? Are we at the like taking care of the other one in the love story? I'm so excited. If he should head to the hospital or clinic to buy some medicine. In the Berg household of the city of Silver, Derek finally obtained the Radiant Spirit Pack tree fruit from Mam Hermit, and he successfully concocted the Solar High Priest potion. It was golden in color and had a scorching hot temperature. When Derek drank it, he felt the burning sensation in his throat. His eyes lit up, and suddenly, as they grew brighter, like there were two miniature suns hidden in them, his body radiated concentric ripples and pure light in his exposed skin, producing the four black patterns that were visible to the naked eye. At the same time, his body hair grew longer, as though they were changing into feathers they were swirling with. It really would feed for centuries. Like, it would be so good. I would eat that up every day of the week. Golden Flames. Derek knew that there would be similar changes when consuming the potion at Sequence 7. He didn't panic to become flustered. He clenched his teeth and repeatedly recalled the pain of himself personally killing his parents. I forgot how much Derek's already been through. That's so sad. Repeated personally killing his parents, and the hope arose from the depths of his heart after meeting Mr. Fool. Despite being on the brink of losing control, he managed to persevere through it. After a while, everything abnormal about him was restored back to normal. I've never slandered Derek, and I would never slander Derek. I love Derek. Have I slandered Derek? No, I haven't. I think I've slandered like everybody but Derek. Had some considerable resistance against ailments and treacherous environments. Because I only allowed myself 3 A tier and 1 S tier. Derek would have been in a higher tier if I didn't just do 3. You know? However, this wasn't the main point. Derek liked... Did I call Derek Judas? Because I feel like he would be. He's the most unsuspecting one to betray Klein. Well, actually, to be totally honest, Alder would probably be the least likely. But I don't know. I feel like he could like be a little. He could be like a little Judas. He could sauce it up. I love that for him. Yes, King. However, that wasn't the main point. Derek liked the various theurgical knowledge that appeared in his mind. Croissant. They included Fire of Light, Horror Immunity. Fire of Light, Horror Immunity, Holy Oath, Cleave of Purification, Sun Halo, Holy Light Summoning, Holy Water Creation, etc. Derek paced around in delight as he felt that the related theurgical spells he had were very subtle, suitable for him in dealing with evil monsters that hid in the dark. He didn't hide the news and immediately ran to the Twin Towers and recorded the information of his advancement. That way, after preliminary inspection, he would have the qualifications to helm a small patrol team. Oh my god, my baby! Yay! Makes me so happy. He's gonna end up having his little patrol team all on his own, and he's gonna do his own thing. I'm so proud of him. He didn't hide the news and immediately ran to the Twin Towers and recorded the information of the advancement. This way, after preliminary inspection, he could come into contact with more than the city's silver information. This includes the method of removing mental corruption beyond a characteristics which Mr. World wants, while Derek was answering the registration clerk. I love Derek. Clark's various questions. He couldn't help but recall the promise that he hadn't been able to fulfill at the time. Owing something to others often left him uneasy and uncomfortable, and now he could finally see the light that could restore his calm. In the Anmer's Leaf Bar, Wormtongue Mithra King was holding a cup of red wine. He sat across from the elderly strongman Ozil, crossed his right leg, and leisurely asked, "Did you figure out anything specific?" He had been instructed by his captain, Vice Admiral Ailment Tracy, to return to Bayham and investigate the fake Helen. For this, he found Ozil, who had originally issued the mission. He could directly see that the resistance, because there was a small chance that they could cooperating with the fake Helen to question them in person, was no different from directly bringing his head to the Governor General's office in exchange for the bounty reward. Oswald pulled a chair and sat down. "They didn't hide anything, but I can be sure that they're speaking the truth or not. As you know, I prefer using fists rather than brains," they said as Helen was brought over to Blazing Donets. He represented Vice Admiral Iceberg and hoped to establish a cooperative relationship with the resistance. They wanted to provide a certain amount of help, and Helen was the way to express their goodwill. Blazing Donets, Vice Admiral Iceberg, Mithra ruminated over the two names as his expression slowly turned solemn. He leaned back in his chair as he knitted his brows bit by bit. As one of Vice Admiral Hurricane's former captains, he was now the third mate of Vice Admiral Ailment's flagship. He was no stranger to the other pirate admirals, and he knew that Vice Admiral Ailment Iceberg was powerful and had a rich collection. With just one ship and a few subordinates, she was able to resist the other pirate admirals in terms of strength. She was a little stronger than two of his bosses. More permanently, Vice Admiral Iceberg seldomly involved herself in the conflict between pirates. She sought information and explored the unknown to seek out treasure. She was more like an adventurer than a pirate. Why would she suddenly want to assassinate Captain? This doesn't suit her character. She previously suffered setback because of Admiral of Blood's rumors. She should be focusing on seeking revenge on him. Mithra took a sip of red wine as he rubbed his forehead with the other's hand. He temporarily stopped thinking about Vice Admiral Iceberg, and he placed his attention on Blazing Donets. As he carefully recalled, his pupil suddenly shrank. He discovered that there was some recent problem regarding the fourth boatswain of the Golden Dream he was familiar with. He laid a trap and killed Steel Mavetti, Blood Brambles, Hedry, and Calm Squall. His bounty was raised to 4,200 pounds, and in a short period of time he got embroiled in some matters, causing the bounty to rise again, reaching 5,500 pounds. "This has already exceeded my bounty," Mithra thought before himself, silently, as Blazing Donet's figure surfaced before him. He found him mysterious and terrifying. He advanced, or did he receive some great benefits because of something? Mithra leaned forward and put down the cups. He whispered seriously, "I originally treated his bounty increase as a joke, but reality has informed me that Blazing Donets as a great pirate worth 5,500 pounds. Mithra looked up and said to strongman Ozil, "Help me seek out intel on Blazing, the recent ones." In the luxurious suite of the Wind of Azure Inn, when Donets opened the door and saw Gammon Sparrow, he glanced around wearily before making way. "How was it? Did the hunt succeed?" he asked in excitement and curiosity after closing the door. "Vice Admiral Ailment is a famous beauty, but when I saw her, she was even more charming than I imagined. What a pity if she were to just die like that. She should be locked up forever without parole. How can she be prettier than Captain? Those with looks like her are plenty in the Red Theatre." Contradictory thoughts ran through Donets' head. Klein clenched his fist and placed it on his mouth before coughing violently. After coming down, he answered coldly, "Almost." "What a pity," Donets sighed. But deep down, he was thinking the madman Gammon Sparrow was really strong. He infiltrated the Black Death to assassinate Vice Admiral Ailment, but was only just fell short of success. Even though he failed, he successfully returned almost without any injuries. One had to know the reason why every pirate admiral was famous through the 5 seas, being second only to the 4 kings. Wasn't only because they themselves were strong, it was also because they represented a crew, a force to be reckoned with. They had many beyonders under them. To be able to escape from the Black Death after a failed assassination had indicated that Gammon Sparrow was in no way weaker than any pirate admiral. Is creeping hunger really that powerful? No, even if I were in his shoes and had creeping hunger, I would be able to go that far. Donets was increasingly convinced that his choice of not resisting during the first encounter with Gammon Sparrow was extremely wise. Klein coughed twice again and prepared to instruct Donets to buy some medicine for him from the hospital. Then he recalled that the cause of his illness was complicated, and medicine provided to him without a doctor's careful examination might not be effective, even if many medicines that Emperor Rosal had previously invented were the same. What if it wasn't because it's impossible to use the gray fog to establish the remote treating system? Is really wish that I could consult Emlyn White to make some medicine. Klein went to the washroom to wash up, changed into his original clothes, and burned the clothes he obtained from the fisherman. Upon seeing him come out, Donalds went over to the paper bag and said in a sycophant manner, "This is the 700 pounds they gave." At this point, he and Klein had heard someone knock on the door. It was Captain Elland. When the captain rushed into the room, he gave Gairman Sparrow a deep look and suppressed his voice. "I planned to return to Prince Harbour, but I received a piece of intel. Something huge seemed to have happened in Bancy Harbour." Ooh, what happened in Bancy Harbour? Chapter 585, Buying Medicine. We gonna fix up Klein's sickness. Medicine. Wonderful. Okay, the Church of Storms had finally taken action on Bancy Harbour. Klein clenched his fist and placed it in his mouth before coughing. He asked calmly without any qualms, "What happened?" Ellen didn't notice any abnormal reactions from Gairman Sparrow. He attracted his gaze and surveyed the area. "I don't know what exactly happened. I know that it might involve the upper echelons of the Church of Storms, and for a period of time before that, all routes that led to Bancy Harbour were cancelled. This might be a so-called omen." "Involve the upper echelons of the Church of Storms? No, it should be the most elite forces. I suspect that the pontiff of the Church of Storms, that grounded angel, had personally taken action. He might have even used a grade 0 sealed artifact. After all, he might be facing a king of angels, one that even older than the fourth epoch, as well as his descendant." Klein nodded and calmly asked, "What's the outcome?" He wanted the least bit surprised that the Church of Storms had only taken action on Bancy Harbour in the past few days, even though the mandated punishers were known for being rash and irrespectable. There was still protocol that needed to be followed in serious matters like this. For example, they needed to make a confirmation execute a portion of innocent resistance to seal off the surrounding areas, all of this scene at a time. Ellen was unable to read Gairman Sparrow's true emotions as he sighed with a smile. There won't be a Bancy Harbour for a very long period of time. As expected of the Church of Storm, Klein secretly clicked his tongues, feeling even more curious about the detailed process. He wanted to know whether Red Angel Medici had appeared and if he really was sleeping near Bancy Harbour. He wanted to know if he had been wiped out by the Church of Storms and wished to know what happened to the natives in Bancy Harbour. He wanted to know what it meant for them to speak such a staccato manner. And he wished to know what secrets are hiding in the Green Lemon restaurant of the telegraph office. Unfortunately, with Bancy Harbour's destruction, it was difficult for him to obtain any actual answers. Perhaps the intel record on the Church of Storms would mention them, but Klein had no way of getting them. With the hangman's ranks, there was no way he could gain access to such confidential information. "I'll have to nurture Mr. Hangman into a high-sequence demigod before I can know the answer to my questions." Klein sighed silently and said without change in his expression, "This place is indeed very dangerous." Before he finished the sentence, his throat itched as he coughed violently. "You fell ill?" Ellen asked, puzzled. He originally imagined that Gairman Sparrow was like him, a beyonder whose physique had considerably enhanced. It was unlikely for beyonders like them to fall ill before they grew weak from age, but from the looks of it, his previous guess might have been wrong. Klein answered tersely without giving an explanation. "A question of no value or meaning. It would be odd if he isn't ill after the intense battle with Ailment Maiden." Donnet grumbled in contempt from the side. Ellen chuckled and said, "I could recommend you an apothecary. That's better than a hospital or a clinic. That's his beyonder job. He has a tiny herb store in the alley diagonally across from the Red Theatre. He's known for selling male enhancements, but that's not what he's best for. Does every apothecary develop such medicine? That's right. It's absolutely one of the most profitable medicine-based businesses. It's only odd not to do it if they're capable of doing it." Klein nodded silently in response. "Then I suppose you could recommend me a doctor?" Ellen asked. "Yes, of course. He has a Why haven't I heard of him? Donald asked, surprised. He only came to Bayham in the past few months. When was your last visit here in the City of Generosity? Ellen asked with a chuckle. When I took your crappy boat, Donald answered silently in his mind. He carefully recalled and discovered that in the past few months, apart from the period of time he had passed by Bayham once during the early days of his vacation, at other times he was drifting out at sea in search of treasure. Otherwise, he was in other places and harbors enjoying himself. So it was true that he wasn't aware of any minor changes at the City of Generosity. I've already spent quite a few days in Bayham. I've been to the Red Theatre several times, but I've not heard anything about this apothecary. This can only serve to imply that his male enhancement medicines are limited in effects. Donitz bragged as he said stubbornly. Ellen smiled and didn't debate with the great pirate. Instead, he said to Gavin Sparrow, if it's only an ordinary ailment, the apothecary will only charge a slight premium, and for you it doesn't matter if it's expensive. What's most important is to recover your health as quickly as possible. No adventurer wishes to stay stuck in a state. This implies danger, and that will become a target of someone else. It implies the increased risk of losing control. Indeed, maintaining a good state is rather important matter, for be honest. However, the price is still very important, alright? If the apothecary were to charge £1,000, then I might as well be buying medicine from the hospital, or I can describe the situation of my illness and get the vampire Emlyn White to make some medicine. Although I already have £6,000 in savings and have several bionic characteristics, I still need to consider it. I still want to add a mystical item and lethal offensive power to seek out clues to the high sequence potions from Klein mumbled inwardly. High sequence potion formulas were impossible to put a price on in the mysterious world, therefore Klein only thought of buying the relevant cures. After Ellen left, Klein took out the £700 and gave Donitz £200. Wearing his hat and holding his cane, he coughed and wiped a snort before stepping onto the door in preparation to take carriage to the vicinity of the Red Theatre. Donitz was very curious about the apothecary medicine. He passed 2 mustaches on his face, wore a cap, and followed that with Klein's guidance. He already knew that using the scarf to hide his face was an act that strongly attracted attention in Bayham. He took his advice to buy some fake mustaches. In the alley diagonally across, what's happening? In the diagonal across the Red Theatre, the moment Klein entered, he saw a man fervently come out of the nameless herb shop. The moment the man saw someone, he hurriedly lowered his head and rushed off. Don't worry, we won't be guessing what medicine you're buying. Klein coughed twice again, increased his pace, and walked into the dark herb store. He scanned the area again, and was surprised because the boss was somehow he knew. The boss was wearing a black robe and resembled a village witch doctor. He was in his 30s with black hair and brown eyes. His face was round and body chubby. He had none other than the chubby apothecary who often liked to use sarcasm at the gathering held by old Mr. I of Wisdom in Backland. Oh my god! Klein had once recognized him at a circus. He stopped showing up at the old Mr. I of Wisdom's Beyonder gatherings because he left Backland. Klein coughed and took 2 steps forward. No, I remember him. He used to be... This is so cool. Because I was wondering... Because we met so many characters in Volume 2. So many characters. I was wondering if we were going to see them. Like, if we're going to get Ian back. Like, Merrick and Sharon always come back in a little bit. Like, Isengard Stan, we know he's there. Like, we met so many side characters in Volume 2. I'm so happy that we get to, like, have a little kind of, like, sneak peek of another one. He's back. On the chubby apothecary's shoulder stood a round-eyed owl. The man... Homie just got an owl just perched on his shoulder. I don't really know what chapter I'm going to read till. We'll read until, like, 9 o'clock. So we'll read for, like, another 30 minutes. Probably get, like, another chapter out of it. So maybe, like, chapter 587. On Klein. After a brief examination, the chubby apothecary revealed a warm smile. Friend, it's cold outside. Don't do the deeds out in the open, although it's true that this can be rather exciting. What the hell? Klein was first stumped before he understood what he was getting at. When battling Tracy, I was influenced by her pleasure powers. Blood flowed down to my nether regions and my desires. 'Cause, 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 dilated. This resulted in my body emptying out, making it faster and easier for the ailment to strike me. When escaping the ice-cold sea was fine since we had third spells protecting me, but the wind on my back was rather cold. It worsened my sickness. In conclusion, doesn't it look like we're getting sick as a result of having pleasure out in the open? As expected of an apothecary, he has sharp eyes. Klein maintained a composed expression and just looked at him without answering him. All he did was wait for him to concoct the medicine. Donitz turned his head to look out the herb store as he held back his laughter with great difficulty. I love them. I love them so much. Yeah, you think I'm freaky? Cuttlefish is the one writing this. He's a... Number 1 freak, Cuttlefish. Number 2 freak, Roselle. Number 3 freak, Dara. It goes Cuttlefish, Roselle, Dara. Stuffed them into a paper bag and handed it over. Put it into the water and cook it for half an hour. Drink the liquid that's left over. For Solly. That's a little expensive, Klein glanced at Donitz. The latter, 4 Solly is not expensive. You have like 6,000 pounds. I know he used to use it for other stuff, but like, he's fine. He bent his back and suppressed his voice and said with a chuckle, I have medicine that can make you stand out in that area. The kind that has mummy powder added. Need it? I guarantee you'll be satisfied. I know you might be very strong, but men always seek to be stronger. Firstly, I need to have a girlfriend. Klein coldly shook his head and rejected the chubby apothecary's recommendation. Or a boyfriend. No one's judging, Klein. If you happen to want a boyfriend, that's okay too. If you do want a girlfriend though, I am here. I am available. I can send in my resume. I'll just, I'll pay the token, give it to your girl. She can send it over to you. Get back to me within 3 to 5 business days. We can have a Zoom meeting and we'll be good. If you're looking for a girlfriend, I can put in. Firstly, I need to have a girlfriend. Klein shook his head and rejected the chubby apothecary's recommendation. The chubby apothecary straightened his back in disappointment. He turned his gaze and sized up the two before asking, are both of you adventurers? Yes, Klein answered simply. Honestly, he was looking at both of them and he was like, The chubby apothecary rubbed his hands and said, I have a request, but you'll only be paid after completing it. How big is the reward? Klein pinched his nose. 100 pounds. The chubby apothecary... What is that? Oh, it's that. Chubby apothecary shouted his heart. Help me find someone. His name is Roy King. He's my teacher. He got me here. But I haven't seen him after waiting for months, and I have no way of contacting him. Is there a portrait or a photograph? Klein inquired. He also coughed in between that. The chubby apothecary took out a photograph from a street pouch in his waist and handed it over. It was a relatively young man. His hair was neatly combed back when he wore glasses. He appeared very gentlemanly. Your teacher? Klein asked. I might believe if you're the teacher. The chubby apothecary coughed dryly and said, he's at least 60, but he looks young. The beyond our powers of the mystical item. Klein nodded and thought and began to in the specifics. After confirming that there weren't any items he could use to divine, he took the paper bag and left the store. Hi, Senny. After he disappeared from the alley, the owl standing on the chubby apothecary's shoulder suddenly said, Darkwill, that guy might know you. Chapter 5. It says farewell and reunion. Is he gonna... Him and Donitz better not be breaking up. That's the dynamic duo right there. I'm so excited to see it get animated. Farewell and reunion. Ta-da! Lovely. Who's he saying farewell to? I'm so scared. I actually haven't been bullied much this chat. It's been a very chill chat. I don't even think we've gotten any clips out of this chat. We've just been reading. We've just been reading, going through it. And that's it, really. Other than harsh saying that I'm an island visitor, which isn't even slander, that's just full-on lies. Full-on lies. I would never. Never, ever, ever. What, he knows me? The chubby apothecary Dark Will was alarmed as he whispered back. The owl's round eyes looked ahead and said, I noticed that he clearly... Oh, the owl talks! Whoa. Okay. Oh, okay. I noticed that he clearly paused for 2 seconds the moment he saw you when he came in. Perhaps he thinks someone like me doesn't match his image of an apothecary. The chubby apothecary retorted. The owl spread his wings and landed. Suit yourself if you wish to think so. What books have you been reading recently? The fat on the chubby apothecary's face trembled. The owl replied sternly and seriously, my reading is based on your knowledge standards, such as those involving soccer. Unfortunately, they have soccer in this? Or football for everybody not in North America? I mean, like, I guess Emperor Roselle probably brought it in, but damn, okay. Unfortunately, the words you grasp and can teach me are limited. I have no choice but to read popular novels and lower requirement on one's vocabulary. Besides that, they're serialized on the newspaper. Darkwill chuckled. I'll buy a receipt cookbook later. It's called Guide to East Ballenberg Culinary Methods. Without waiting for the owl to answer, his expression sank and he muttered to himself, he knows me. He looks like the standard Lowenese man. More than half his blood is at least Lowen. I used a fake name to stay in a few cities in Lowen. It's not odd to be recognized by him, but I still need to be on guard. If I don't receive any news about Old Man before March, then I have to leave this place. Having said that, he turned his head to look at the owl who was perched on his shoulder. At times, you still rather be useful. No, your eyes and your body language tell me that your real thoughts are darn it. I wanted to buy a pet that can help me beat monsters and gangsters. I sought out beyond ingredients of a potion recipe according to the standard of a dragon, but I ended up getting a silly bird who only knows how to read newspapers and plays. Darn it, I want the stuff to stuff another potion down its throat. The owl repeated like a parrot by mimicking the chubby apothecary's tone. So the owl's kind of like Susie, where they've had like Beyonder potions. Yeah, okay. That's so cool. If I had a pet, I'd be feeding it Beyonder potions as well. I'd be like, you're gonna talk. You're gonna become my best friend. Absolutely. And I'd probably give it, if I had a dog, I would probably give it the spectator potion just so it can go observe stuff and then like come back and tell me about it. Yeah. Exactly. Darkwill's expression stiffened for a few seconds before he chuckled. It's good that you know this, silly bird. If I didn't have the powers of a beast tamer, you wouldn't have even managed a single potion. Yeah, no one's beaten Susie. Oh, it's hit an owl with my car. It was traumatizing. Got stuck in the grate. Maybe it was this owl. Happy to know he's living a better life. Inside the herb store, the man and bird fell into silence. After a while, the owl pretended as though nothing had really happened and asked, Darkwill, is it really going to work? You've entrusted this a dozen of adventurers. Beast Tamer. The Beast Tamer sequence. It's part of the apothecary pathway, is it not? Whoa. If I'm an animal abuser, Audrey's also an animal abuser. I'm not an animal abuser. I just think it would be cool if I had a dog that would be able to like see things that are happening also and just like report back to me. I think it'd be fun. You know? Why does that make me an animal abuser? Also, I just realized it's like really high up, so it's like awkward on my face. Why does it make me an animal abuser, huh? I can't win. I'm not good at finding people, so I can entrust it to someone else. Besides, they have to find and confirm old man's location. Hold up. I made a joke that we were gonna get another old this volume that was gonna die and I was gonna cry. Is this the new old? Is this this season's old? Coming down the fall 2025 runway. New old in the house. Yep. Homie's gonna die. Dara's gonna cry. That's all it is. Tist as... Oh. I don't even need to spend a single penny. The chubby apothecary Tist. As he said before sighing, old man always calls himself... Have a safe flight, man. 12 hours. Have a good nap. Watch a cool movie. Have a safe flight, please. Text when you land. He should be fine. Will the medicine brewed for the reality be effective? While returning to the Winds of Azure Inn via carriage, Donitz looked at the paper bag beside Klein. The things inside were black herbs, strangely shaped insect carapaces, and weirdly colored flowers. It didn't seem like anything reliable. Klein nodded yes. Klein nodded yes. You haven't drunk it? Donnet subconsciously retorted. That's what I'm saying. Text to Discord when you land. Thanks. Safe travels. I trust him, although this mouth stinks and rather vile. He has a rather kind heart. Besides, Captain Ellen believes that his medicine is sufficiently effective. Scareman Sparrow, Klein didn't respond to Donnett's doubts. He directly picked up the paper bag and threw it over. Without needing his spoken words, Donnet knew what he meant. He was in charge of brewing the medicine. Furthermore, he was accustomed to doing similar matters recently, so he didn't have any urges to resist. After returning to the Winds of Azure Inn, Klein got in the chair to sit and watched Donitz light up the fireplace and prop up a pot. He then added water to the... He is making him his medicine? That's so cute. Leaning back, Klein felt his head feel groggy. He was very exhausted and felt like he could fall asleep at any moment. In order to wait for the medicine to finish brewing and for him to quickly resolve his illness, he forced himself to consider various problems to combat the fatigue. On careful consideration during the battle of Vice Admiral Ailment, if I hadn't succeeded in sneaking in an attack on her and suppressing her from the very beginning, preventing her from getting into the rhythm until she eventually found a chance to force open the gap between us by turning invisible, then I might not have been her match. It should be on live messages. I don't think it's on top messages. I'll check really quick. It was on top chat. That's not my bad. That's my bad. Where was I? Us by turning invisible then might not be your match. In other powers of invisibility and ailment, really like bug in the game, matched with the assassin's lethal strike and the interference of pleasure, it really makes one unable to find and hit her or escape. One can only watch her body gradually weaken and become inflicted with all sorts of ailments. One can even get mesmerized and give up resisting. On the other hand, it's becoming every sequence 5, a very powerful as expected, though sequence just before a demigod. On the other hand, it's because creeping hunger, various powers aren't a good match. It cannot be considered to be multifaceted without any weaknesses. Yes, the power of a sequence 5 marionette, the seer pathway, is highly effective against invisibility. I can try to help the chubby apothecary find a teacher in the meantime, but without any information, with just a picture, I can only try my luck. I have to see when I can directly find a clue. After all, I'm not a god, and I can't find people remotely. Wait, in a certain way, I am a god. I can get sea god believers to help me find. As long as the old gentleman named Roy King once visited Bayham, he would definitely encountered others and be seen by them. Most native residents secretly believe in the sea god. This is what means when means by a sea of people. Also, before Captain Ellen leaves Bayham, I should get him to introduce me to a point of contact for the military in the future. I can get him to reimburse. I can get him to reimburse me for any intel that they can also check if there were any travels named Roy King who registered on the liners in the recent months. There's another method. I've placed the radio transceiver above the Grey Fog for some reason. I should be able to contact the Magic Mirror Roads if I take it down. I was originally planning on asking for Helen's location, but I no longer need to find the red-haired lady anymore. I can switch to Roy King. For a matter which many adventurers have no clue on how to begin, I have 3 solutions. Amidst the thoughts, Klein finally held on until the medicine was successfully brewed. Looking at the bottle of blackish-green liquid and donuts brought over, he hesitated for 2 seconds before extending his hand to receive it and placed it in his mouth. Gulp. Klein immediately felt his throat burn and his face flush red. This made him recall his attempt at eating crazy, spicy food in his previous life. Suddenly, his entire persona awakened and his stuffy nose quickly clenched. He barely finished drinking it and felt as though he had nearly recovered from his sickness. By the time he had fully recovered, he no longer showed any doubt towards the apothecary's abilities. No wonder the portion's name is Apothecary. Klein wore his hat and left the inn in Donitz under a cloak of night. They left Bayham and came to a secret harbor hidden on the other side of the jungle. Tonight, the Golden Dream was providing aid to the residents. After some coordinations and hassle, Donitz used the soulful ritual to contact Vice Admiral Iceberg Edwina. After some time, the ship that was scrubbed clean and had a strange main cannon, docked by the private harbor. Its gigantic sails drew 5 types of gold coins. They were the gold pounds of Lowen, the gold horn of the Vasak, and the virile gold of Intis, the gold risoid of Fainapot, and the Sassin gold of Lenberg. This was the flag of the Golden Dream. It was also the symbol of the pirate crew. It's still not professional enough. If it were me, I would add Porter gold from the Mason. What does that say? Zodi from the Sagar, motif gold coins from the Balam Empire, etc. Klein stood by the side with his hands in his pockets as he watched Edwina Edwards appear at the bow. At that moment, she was wearing a hunter hat, a rider's skirt, and a black coat. She's just dripped out. Everybody's really dripped out in this volume. I like it. I respect it. She matched the image of the female pirate admiral in the mind of the resistance. She often dressed like she was a private tutor. Klein mumbled and took a few steps back, allowing Donitz to run around and busy himself. The pirate worth 5,500 pounds did the liaison, sending a batch of food and fabric to Callet and the resistance before the transaction came to a close. Thanks. Donitz secretly inhaled and came to Klein's face. Sighed and forced a smile. There's nothing else, right? I can now return to the Golden Dream, right? Also, how do you plan on settling the hiring fees? That's only an excuse your captain and I use in a particular sense. This batch of food and fabric is my payment, Klein nodded. Your captain was already paid. You can return. For real? Donitz found it unbelievable. Although Vice Admiral Iceberg... Dude, he could have left long ago, but he decided to stay. He's always gonna stay. Wasn't far behind him. He was still afraid of Gavin Sparrow would suddenly have a crazy fit. Klein didn't reply and turned around, walking straight towards the path he led out of private harbor. Donitz exhaled silently and held back his excitement, feeling before briskly running into the Golden Dream. Only when the Golden Dream steered far away into the night with the private harbor that belonged to the resistance slowly shrinking in size did he believe that he was back on the Golden Dream. Is Klein not with him? At the instant, he felt as he had experienced just too many things over the past half a month. That was all within 2 weeks? Holy shit. Or so, it was an unprecedented level of exhilaration, as though it was an interesting dream. At this moment, the sailor came close and asked out of curiosity, Boss, was Steele Mavetti really killed by you? Donitz immediately laughed out loud and secretly stole a glance at Captain Edwina before saying to his subordinate, I contributed greatly to his deed. Let's talk it over drinks. After the dark sea, the Golden Dream drifted off into the distance. They're done? Why is the Yowie always doomed? Why is the Yowie always doomed? I'm so sad now. They're finally separated. I was so scared because I knew the second I saw. No, I don't want it. The second I saw the title Farewell and Reunion, I knew that like something was gonna happen. How long are they separated for? Like how long are they separated for? When do they find their way back to each other? That's my question. When do they find their way back to each other? And bye David, thanks so much for coming. No, that's a joke. Like, that's a joke. Like, Donitz isn't, like, done in Lord of the Mysteries. Like, No, because here's the thing. I'm actually gonna be so upset. He didn't even make it halfway through the book. We didn't even have him, like, for half of the book. Or, I guess not the book, like, this volume. We didn't even have him for half of volume 3. Like, he should... After turning to the winds of Azure Inn, Klein just about to sleep when he saw the surrounding colors turn abnormally bright. The white bedsheets turned whiter, the brown floorboards turned more brownish yellow. The dark red curtains appeared like fresh blood. In the scene, with all sorts of colors stacked upon each other, Isaac Eggers suddenly walked out from the rippling aqueous void. He was dressed in his usual shirt, bow tie, tailcoat, and see... Cuttlefish knew. He knew. He's like, hey, we're gonna get rid of Donitz. We've gotta get rid of Donitz. However, as you know, collateral, as consideration of the fact that we're getting rid of the Donitz-Gehrman duo, we're gonna give you Isaac Eggers. And you know what? It's like, okay. Fair trade, I'll accept it. He was dressed in his usual bow tie tailcoat and a top hat. His skin was bronze in color and he had soft facial features. How viable. I also wish to have such powers of traveling through the spirit world. Klein silently sighed as he smiled in greeting while maintaining his appearance. Good evening, Mr. Isaac. Isaac took his top hat off and looked at the rather unfamiliar face. Without finding it strange, he chuckled. Apologies, I came in a hurry. I should have knocked on the door. What's the exact situation with those death chronicles? Klein invited him to have a seat. Then he described in detail things that couldn't explain in the letter. Towards the end, he mentioned in passing about the matter regarding Banksy Harbor, saying how it involved King of Angels, Medici, and his descendants. Isaac leaned back into the chair and said with a frown, there's such a name in my memories. He should have the two titles of Red Angel and War Angel. However, he had perished long ago. Klein asked in surprise. Isaac nodded and thought it over. Hi, Wiz. Wiz, you're just in time. Donitz and Gehrman just broke up. However, Gehrman, he moved on pretty fast. He found a really good rebound. And you know what? I would say that it's pretty entertaining as well. So. And apparently I'm also an animal abuser. Not really sure how we got there, but we did. Nothing. I feel like it shouldn't. I feel like, so much happens that yeah. Oh, yeah, I also hit an owl with my car. I think it's this owl in the book. I'm happy to know that he's living a full life with his apothecary. I self-report. Yup. I don't even need what's it called when they like when they suffocate you. What's it called? You know when they like take the water and they waterboarding. That's what it is. You know how they like waterboard information out of people? You don't even need to waterboard me. I'll just tell you the information. I remember that he was killed by Blood Emperor, or you guys will just make up information. That's more likely what it is. You guys just make up information about me. Killed by Blood Emperor Alistair Tudor, Klein's people shrank as he recalled the evil spirit and loitered in the underground ruins beneath Backland. It had claimed to be an innocent killed by the Blood Emperor. Chapter 587. Confusion. I don't want to look at that general chat ever again. I'm so okay to never ever look at that general chat ever again. This will probably be the last. How many? Yeah. This will be the last chapter. We'll do one more and then we'll be done. No, I couldn't tell that you were a fan of Azek. Really. Also, Wiz, are you still here? I heard you were reading Koi now. How is it? Is it everything you hoped for? No, the spelling's correct. Don't psych me out like that. Get me all scared. How was Koi? I feel very, very behind. At chapter 587, while you and Wiz are both done. I put Azek in A tier. What are we talking about? Oh, that might not be for me. Easy and Wiz are both done the book. I'm not done the book. I'm only at chapter 587. Oh, okay, talking now. I got flamed for my tier ranking, even though it is correct. So I just assumed that everybody's roasting me. Okay, last chapter. 587, confusing. Could it be that evil spirits as Red Angel Medici, the king of angels who once served the creator and was one of the founders of the Rose Redemption, Klein instantly generated such a thought. Don't worry, we'll be looking at the artwork after. We will go take a good long gander at the artwork afterwards. The former hold the Red Priest card, which is attached to the underground palace because of a certain level of attraction, and had died beside the Tudor descendants. The evil spirit I saw in my dreams could easily kill a powerful dragon back when it was alive. I know it knows the potion formula to the mutant pathway sequence 4 and even more. It's very aware of matters regarding the Rose Redemption. The Orthodox Church that has existed ever since the Cataclysm don't know that the former Bincy and that the present Bansi has a descendant of the Medici family residing there, but the evil spirit was able to provide the corresponding information. There's a very high chance of deriving this from the death of Red Angel Medici and the King of Angels. So, yeah. That's what I've been told, is that Koi is very different. I think I'm gonna save it and read it after. The very high chance driving this, and the King of Angels was actually killed by Blood Emperor Alistair Tudor. Does this mean that the latter has already exceeded Sequence 1 and had reached the rank of True God as a Sequence 0, or could no longer be witnessing directly? That evil spirit said so itself, that the late stages of the Fourth Epoch, Solomon Empire, Black Emperor, Tudor Empire, Blood Emperor, and Trunzen Empires, Night Emperor, were fighting for the position of Sequence 0. I think I tried to stroke listening up. Until Alistair Tudor went crazy. Does this mean that from the point onwards, Blood Emperor was half crazy True God? Right, Mr. Azek mentioned in the letter that he lost his senses from merely being glanced at by the Blood Emperor Alistair Tudor. Back then, he was at least a Sequence 4 demigod. To have such might, it To have such might, it can only be explained that Blood Emperor was a true god level. Mr. Azek also described the revival of the true Black Emperor in his letter. He described him as sitting on a gigantic throne as he overlooked the land. For the Black Emperor to revive and return, there's a high chance that he was a true god of a sequencial rank. If that were the case, the War of the Four Emperors was a high order that I previously imagined. It's no longer a battle of three sequences and fighting for the position of Sequence Zero. Klein connected all the dots in the past, gaining a brand new understanding of the Fourth Epoch's history. Ooh. I'm gonna read one more time. Describing the arrival of the true Black Emperor in his letter, he described him as sitting on a gigantic throne and overlooking the land. For the Black Emperor to revive and return, there's a high chance that he was a true god at a Sequence Zero rank. If that were the case, the War of the Four Emperors was of a higher order than I previously imagined. It's no longer the battle of the three sequences to fight for the position of Sequence Zero. Klein connected all the dots in the past, gaining a brand new understanding of the Fourth Epoch's history. But as a result, many questions arose. If that ancient evil spirit really is King of Angels Medici, then the underground palace might very well belong to Blood Emperor Alistair Tudor. Then there would be two thrones of equal standing. Why would there be 6 humanoid statues of true gods? Why would the half-crazy Blood Emperor kill Red Angel Medici after he became a Sequence Zero? Which spot did he occupy? Firstly, Black Emperor can be eliminated. It can't be Red Priest, right? Red Angel Medici was killed for its Beyonder characteristics, but Red Priest and Black Emperor do not seem like neighboring pathways that allow exchanging. I can basically confirm that the former is paired with the Demoness pathway. Yes, Captain mentioned before that consuming the potions of other pathways might not mean death, but there's a high probability of going mad and obtaining warped but terrifying powers. This matches Blood Emperor's half-crazy trait and his final step. As there was no hope for Black Emperor and any neighboring pathways, he took the craziest choice and switched to another pathway that's completely unrelated, becoming half-crazy as a price. But the same problem arises. Advancing to Red Priest requires King of Angels Medici to be killed, but before advancing, Alistair Tudor wouldn't have been able to complete it by himself unless he had more sequences helping him or other Sequence Zero's true gods. Upon realizing this, the statues in the underground palace suddenly flashed past Klein's mind. The Evernight goddess statue who used the moon as a pillow, the Earth Mother statue that hugged a baby in her bosom, and the Lord of Storms that had a lightning flash behind him, the handsome eternal blazing sun statue, the tall and royal god of combat statue, and the god of knowledge wisdom statue who wore a hood all cast ice-cold gazes in front of him in the darkness, and in an instant Klein couldn't help but tremble. However, he remembered that the 6 gods supported the Trunzone Empire, not the Tudor Empire. The history of the four emperors the history of the Fourth Epoch becomes more harrowing and confusing the more you delve into it. Klein sighed secretly. What are you thinking about? Isaac Eggers noticed his pause. Klein said in passing, I was only thinking that since Red Angel Medici had long perished at the hands of Alistair Tudor, then who is the god of weather who is following the Bancy Harbor? Klein said in passing, I was only thinking that since Red Angel Medici had long perished at the hands of Alistair Tudor, then who is the god of weather who has a following in Bancy Harbor during the recent centuries, and what's the reason for their odd behavior? With this in mind, Klein came to a pause. This was because the matter regarding Bancy Harbor was unlike what he had imagined. He originally believed the Red Angel Medici was asleep. He originally believed that the Red Angel Medici was asleep there, but to his surprise, he had long perished. In that case, the secrets underlying the Green Lemon restaurant and the telegraph office became more indiscernible. He had no way of deducing anything without any further information. The more he thought about it, the more horrified he became. Could that evil spirit have expected such an outcome when he indicated Bincy Town? That might have been a required step for him to escape the seal. Should I tell this matter to Mr. Azek and gain his opinion? Yes, I'll let Miss Magician, who's in Backland, to monitor the area and see if there's any abnormalities. If there's none, I can wait till I return to Backland and contact Miss Sharon. After seeking her opinions, I can inform Mr. Azek. After all, it's a ruin we explored together. I have to respect her opinion. If there are any abnormalities, then the matter can only be expelled due to the seriousness of the issue. Klein quickly made a decision. When Azek heard his question, he laughed. Don't think about such matters. They've definitely been burdened by the Church of Storms. To forcibly seek out the reason will only bring extreme danger. Even at the level of angels, there's still a chance of perishing. In the mysterious world, curiosity is often the leading cause of death. Klein recalled the matter he had experienced and heard of in the past. He switched to saying, Mr. Azek, I already have a messenger that I can call on my own, much faster than I imagined. Azek said with a smile. Klein immediately explained how he changed the incantation of how he completed the summoning and ended up encountering an oddity in the spirit world. When summoning spirit world creatures, there's indeed a chance of such thing happening. When it's not done by someone who has corresponding job, it requires repeated trial and error before obtaining the desired result. If it's absolutely safe, the spirit world creature which is summoned might not have any malicious intent towards you. And won't wish you any harm, but it doesn't mean that its very existence won't hurt you. Perhaps just the aura it has can reduce you to a pile of blood. After Azek heard about the creature whose speed suppressed imagination, being easily neglected, and the creature with extreme high survivability, he laughed and warned him. After that, he asked, how did he succeed in the end? Klein said in embarrassment, I'll change the final sentence to unique being that is willing to be my messenger. Azek was taken aback for a second. He curiously looked at Klein. This description is too generic. Typically, it wouldn't have succeeded. Perhaps it was rather lucky. Klein cautiously described the messenger's appearance and even hid the matter of his request for a gold coin. Azek thought over it carefully and said, I do not have an impression of the spirit world creature, but since you've already signed a contract and have it witnessed by the underworld, she likely wouldn't cause you any harm. However, before you fully understand her, try not to get her to do anything apart from sending letters. All right. Klein originally wanted to say that he had nothing he needed her for other than sending letters. When he recalled his battle with Mr. A, the room fell into a brief moment of silence before Klein pulled the conversation back on track. Mr. Azek, when can I head for the Black Death? The longer the delay, the higher the chances of whatever he left on the Black Death to be cleaned up during the daily cleaning jobs. Now, Azek stood up and put his hat. Klein was dressed properly, and just as he was trying to find an excuse to head to the washrooms and divine there would be any danger taking any action tonight, Azek grabbed his shoulder and pulled him into the spirit world. Amidst the stacked colors and nearly formless figures, he heard Mr. Azek say, let's begin. That direct? Don't you need to confirm things? Perhaps a big shot in his own way of determining the level of danger. Klein silently mumbled and held his cane and began divining the location of items he left behind. The cane flew automatically as it tumbled ahead. Azek followed closely behind Klein in tow as they smooth passed through the spirit world. Before long, the black hardwood cane paused in thick black and stacked shadows ahead of it. Through the abstract scene, Klein could vaguely identify it as something resembling the Black Death. At this moment, Azek's body came to a pause as he solemnly said, the spirits here tell me that there's in danger. There is danger, something that can even make Azek find it dangerous. Vice Admiral Ailment got help, a high-ranking member of the Demoness sect. Klein frowned suddenly. He fully believed the judgment of the big shot, since Sequence 7 of Death Pathway was a spirit medium. After advancing to the realm of demigod, being able to notice this was considered very normal. Azek's half-closed eyes for 2 seconds before opening them. But the problem isn't serious. Let's enter. Problem isn't serious. This problem's the case when it's directed at you. The corners of Klein's mouth twitched as he had decided to change his look. This way, even if he had no match, he had to flee him pathetically. He didn't have to be afraid of someone coming knocking on his door. In an instant, Klein possessed a distinctive broad chin and cold blackish-green eyes. His hair turned brown and was turned into a bun at the back of his head like an ancient warrior. He was disguised himself as the former owner of the Creeping Hunger, Vice Admiral Hurricane Kalangos. Azek gave him a glance as his surroundings suddenly seemed to plummet as all sorts of bright colors flew by. In a blink of an eye, Klein found himself in Ailment Maiden Tracy's cabinet again. This gallant and brilliant female pirate was wearing a different white shirt. On her left shoulder was a clear bandage, while her black hair was coiled up instead, cascading down. Faced with the sudden visitor, she didn't show any panic, but smiled. At this moment, a gentle female's voice from a difficult and local location sounded. It's you. Chapter 588, Old Acquaintances. We'll stop here. I don't even know what happened in chat. I was really locked in on that chapter. I don't know if you guys could tell. I want to take a minute. I'm probably honestly going to reread it tonight. Oh my god, I don't want to think about the quiz. Fuck, okay. I'll bookmark it for the quiz. Thank you for letting me know. I'm gonna reread this chapter because I have like an idea. Maybe. We'll see. The quiz at the end of the volume. Okay, I will. We're on chapter 588. Chapter 588. So we are getting so close. I'm not shaming the quiz. I've never shamed the quiz in my entire life. Never in my entire life have I ever shamed the quiz. Never, ever, ever. Never, ever, 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 ever. Never, ever have I shamed the quiz. Is it an artwork? Here, let me add it. Don't know why I did that. Don't know why I did that, but I did it. And hold up. Damn, Yuri, for real. I don't know if I'm allowed to show this on YouTube. I don't know if I'm allowed to show this on stream. How she got her? Oh, she got her like that. Okay. Helen does not look happy in this photo. She does not look like she was... This poor girl was forced to be there. You can see it in her eyes. Goddamn. Goddamn. And then I saw that there was some spoiler. Oh, and then this is Edwina? Dude! Edwina's a baddie. Oh my god, I like her so much. That's so cool. One thing that does really upset me. And you know what does really upset me? The fact that Donitz and Klein are no longer together. That's super upsetting. I can also see the spoiler artwork now. Do I want to see the spoiler artwork now? I don't know if I want to. Or is it just like... Okay, period. They look so good. Okay, other than that, that's all I got for you guys today. I will see you guys tomorrow. We will pick up where we left off, because it looks like some shit's about to go down. And we'll see what happens. Other than that, thank you guys so much for coming. I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye-bye. Thank you. Bye-bye.